Hey guys, welcome to Trading That YouTube channel. Now we've got Rodrigo from City Traders Imperium here on the show today to talk to you about his entire trading process. Now this guy breaks it down in detail, then goes into some charting. Now what I've done though, I have decided to flip the video around, do the charting first, and then jump into his process, which goes on for quite some time. So you're going to see it in detail. Now this guy traded for a prop firm in the past and still trades for City Traders Imperium as a funded trader. Now what you're going to see is how he trades, and he trades with smart money, Wyckoff, CTI, Elliott wave, triangular patterns, and is a reversal trader. So you're going to see his trading style in a second on the chart. Then we're going to skip to the video, part of the video where he walks through his trading process in full. So if you haven't got a trading process, or you're wondering what it takes to become a trader from a trading process point of view, this is an awesome video to watch. So guys, let's get on with that now with Rodrigo. Hey folks, my sponsors City Traders Imperium have just launched some amazing changes to their funded trader program you got to check out. You can now skip the whole evaluation, trade gold as well as Forex, plus they've increased the drawdown you're allowed in both the evaluation and when funded. With CTI, it's even faster and easier to reach up to $4 million in funding with a 50 to 70% profit share. Click the link in the description to find out what else has changed.
What's up traders, my name's Rodrigo and I'm the performance coach for City Traders Imperium. Cam has asked me to do this video for the Trading Nut listeners out there, go through my strategy, how I trade. So what I'm going to do is a little bit different to what most traders will probably do. I'm not going to focus entirely just on my strategy where I enter and how I manage and how I exit. In fact, I'm going to go through the most important part, which is the process, right? So as a trader, you need to have a process both for reaching a peak state, analyzing the markets, planning your trades properly with full probability in your favor that will allow you to execute your edge. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's get straight into it. So once I've do all of the bigger picture, intermediate picture, let's say I'm trading the euro. I'll start off with the weekly or the monthly, then the weekly and so on. But for this example, I'll go for the weekly. So I trade smart money concepts, Wyckoff, some ICT and Elliott wave. So as in over here, I can see that we have, since the March COVID lows, we had a really nice five wave impulse here. All of this motive was very clear, and now obviously we have a correction in place. Price is moving sideways on the bigger picture, and this is in confluence with a weekly order block which has been tested multiple times. So if we go down to the daily, I am looking for specific patterns. So I do trade a lot of triangular patterns at specific areas. I see myself as a reversal trader, so I'm looking for reversals. I see everything as a reversal, to be honest. Even if it's even if this is a continuation, right? When you look at the smaller time frame, this leg down is a trend, right, on the smaller time frame, and getting an entry here is essentially a reversal of this small trend. So everything for me is reversal. Okay, as you can see, I'm always counting waves, and counting waves, I don't really care if I get the count wrong. All I want to know is, with Elliott wave, I want to see impulses and corrections. I can see here there's an impulse, right? I can see this is a correction. I can see this is an impulse, and I can see this is quite a complex correction, right? So I'm looking for areas where I can get into at the end. I want to get in at the end of a correction and at the start of an impulse, right? These are the biggest opportunities. So I'm looking for these kind of opportunities. So if you remember, this was the weekly point of interest from a weekly order block. So we did get a reaction here, and we got another reaction here. So if I'm looking at particular opportunities, so for example, I can see here we've got some sort of pattern in line with both the weekly. So if we make this weekly slightly larger, we can see that on the weekly we have a nice reaction here, and on the daily perspective, we can see that there's a daily order block up here which prices have reacted to, and that reaction was in confluence with a beautiful pattern. This is ending diagonal, Very nice pattern that I love to trade. So we have an A, B, C, D, E. Some traders just call this a 1, a 2, and a third tap reversal pattern, whatever you want to call it. This is an ending diagonal. So I'm looking for these sorts of patterns as a reversal, right? Now we're on the H4 now, and like I told you guys before, I also look for sort of Wyckoff patterns. And so I can see here that with this big impulse here, we had somewhat of a selling climax. So this range here, I'm very interested in this particular range, right? And so when you see this type of range, I can see here that we have a distribution, the schematic. So when you get this sort of spring at the end of a ending diagonal, which is also in confluence with a weekly and a daily order block, that gives me a huge conviction that the market is looking to start reversing, especially when you start seeing market structure shifting. So like with smart money concepts, you look at, you know, these market structure points that are showing a change of character. That's what I'm looking for. And so what I'm now looking for is patterns within patterns. I'll start going down into the smaller time frames, and I'll start looking for same thing again. Look, these are H4 points of interest. We've got an order block here, we've got an order block here, got another order block here, and then I'll start looking for order flow on the smaller time frames, like the 5 minute, at these particular points, which I'm not going to do because it will be too long. But I'm looking at bigger picture direction. Then I'm looking at top-down analysis and mixing a bit of Elliott Wave, Wyckoff, smart money concepts, and ICT order blocks in order to establish entries, managing trades, and exits. I will do the same thing. So that was just like in regards to entries. Exits, what you just saw there, I'll do the same thing for an exit. So I do look for opportunities to be hedging, but this is quite recent, in the last couple of months. Beautiful price action. So yeah, this is essentially what I look for, guys. So I don't want to get into too much detail because otherwise the video will be too long, but that's essentially my strategy in a sense.
Okay guys, so that's the charting part of the video. Let's jump into that process.
Right, so I always begin with, this is my journal that I use on Notion, and Notion is an amazing app that you can get for free, and it's just so versatile, and I'm going to show you why it's so versatile. It's really good for every trader to have. Okay, so I'll start off with my weekly review, and within my weekly review document, the first thing I do before any trading session, whether I'm about to trade or actually reviewing my process, I go through a meditation mindfulness practice. So it could be either a 10-minute, 5-minute, sometimes even just a 2-minute breathing exercise, mindfulness practice that just gets me into the flow state, and I read out my principles. So these are principles that I've picked up, I've learned over the years as trading and coaching other traders. Sometimes I read them out, or I've recorded myself reading them out. So what I'm doing is, when I'm actually in that meditative state and I'm focusing on my breathing, I just press play and I hear myself reading my principles. And these principles serve as both a reminder and affirmations as to the best trading self that I can possibly be for that particular day.
I am a successful and disciplined trader. My focus is entirely on the process of trading instead of any particular outcome. The chance to compete for something I care about, the opportunity to work hard, the time and space to make something of value. Those acts and those moments are the real prize. The fight is the reward. I am patient.
That's the first one here, as you can see. Feel free to pause and you can see some of these principles yourself. It just gets me into the right state of mind. So if I've got a lot of things going on in my life, or a lot of things with other business or other investments, when I'm in that state, I'm just purely present, very self-aware of how I feel, my thoughts and my surroundings.
Hey, want to trade crypto and gold like the institutions? Well, you can, and it's free for 14 days with Sage Strategies, fully automated trading strategies. Check out their live track records for 25 unique strategies, plus they host everything for you, which is perfect for beginners to advanced traders or investors. Simply sign up for their 14-day free trial today to experience it for yourself.
So once I'm in that flow state, then I start going through this checklist here. So I begin and I end with this document. Right, so this document allows me to get a big the picture of the entire market. So my long-term perspective, I look at interest rates and I look at the intermarket analysis. So that's the US dollar index direction. So for the macro analysis, I look at inflationary versus deflationary currencies. So I do look at the fundamentals. I look to see what the central banks are talking about when it comes to interest rates, inflation, and so on. And I look at what my bias is for that week, if it's whether it's strong or weak bullish, and so on. And I'll make my notes, right? So that's like the long-term perspective. My intermediate perspective, I also look at the technical. So this is purely price action based on market structure. So I'll do a top-down analysis of whatever I'm trading. At the moment, I'm only trading the Euro USD. So I would look at the dollar, the euro, the pound, the gold, yield, and indices, because these are all interconnected. My short-term perspective, I'm looking at correlational analysis. Again, this relates back to intermediate, but then I look at a little bit more closer to see what the correlation is. So if I'm trading the euro, I might be interested to see what's happening with the dollar, and if I'm interested in the dollar, I might look into a little bit more detail as to what's happening with the yield. So I do actually look at the bond market. Time and price theory, this is ICT concepts that I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I look at that for a short-term perspective, and fundamental analysis. So fundamentals, I go through some of these publications and blogs to look at what's happening with the news. So that's a weekly review that I do on the weekends, just to give me a broad idea as to what's happening in the markets. This is just how it begins, right? Every single day I will do a review of my day. So just a general overview review of my performance, how I was feeling, what kind of trade I was taking. This is just me emptying my mind. So I go to bed in peace. I'm not thinking about anything. It's just a journal that I empty my mind on. And at the end of the week, after this review, I look at all my accomplishments, what goals I was working on, and what lessons and what I learned, and the 1% tweaks of how I can improve based on those lessons. If, for example, I come up with like a few lessons here and 1% tweaks that I need to make, those will then turn into goals. And so I'll write these down. And at the end of the week, I will then go through this is like a advanced self review, and I will literally score myself every week based on all of these categories. So I want to make sure that I'm above 90 every week. If I'm not above 90, I will look at which one of these affected my score, and then I look at the notes and I look at the particular trade. So for example, if I scored myself 5 on here and my trade quality plan was 5 as well, and everything else was let's say everything else was a 10, that would show that or let's say if I was in sync with the market, yeah, I was pretty much. So this is a score of 88 at the end of the week. So I'll look at my trading plan quality and the missed trades. I'll go back into my actual trading journal, and I'll see why I was missing those trades, why I behaved in that way. Was it my fault or was it external? I look at what triggered those missed trades, for example, right? That's just what I do on the weekends and at the end of every trading day. But for the actual trading plan, I will then look at this, I'll make a duplicate this, and I'll go through this entire document top down to ensure that every single trade is taken properly based on my process, based on a mechanical process. As long as I go through this, I've done my job, I follow the rules. So I'll go through all of these metrics here. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to what they are. Then the most important metrics here actually are these two, the categories. So every single trade, I'll categorize them based on these 4 categories, because then after, let's say for example, 100 trades, or at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, I can then filter out over here, I can filter out all of the good wins, all of the bad wins. Let's say I would review category. So I have these 3 categories as well: my best self, standard self, or worst self. But if I wanted to look at all of the outcome categories, I will choose, for example, all of my good wins. At the end of the quarter, I want to know what trades I took that were the best ones, what were my good wins, right? So then I would want to look at all of the patterns in my behavior and what triggered those patterns. And so I want to see what are the patterns in my emotions and what that trigger good trading, and what triggered those positive emotions. Was it that I exercise every morning that day in those trades? You know, things like that. Looking for what was the trigger that made me feel good, that made me follow my trading plan. So I can do that based on these categories. So this journal, I'm using my emotions as data, right? So this journal is mostly a way for me to look at myself, the way I think, the way I behave, and I can identify that via this trading plan here. So the trading plan, I will go through, put as much information down, as much data as possible, all the metrics that are here. I'll then go through my intermarket analysis checklist. I'll go through my forecasting process checklist, and I'll go through my execution process checklist. So all of this, it's like a pre-flight plan. So every single trade, I treat it as if I'm about to go fly, or like I'm a fighter jet pilot. So I need to ensure that the machine, the weapon that I'm flying, is in top shape. All of the ammunition is ready. So I treat this as if I'm literally going to battle every single day. So every single trade is literally that, and I need to be on point. So then I will choose I've got 4 different setups that I'm trading depending on what the market conditions are. So this allows me to diversify my trading. You could call these 4 strategies. I just call them 4 different setups, because I can do all of the macro, all of the intermarket, all of the sort of big picture, medium term picture, and the short term picture. So I'll have a specific direction, a bias, but then I might choose a specific entry, right? So that allows me to diversify myself slightly. And again, that will allow me, I can, in the future, if I'm looking at all of the data, I can filter out, right, I want to filter out all of the trades that I took, all the 3 aces trades that I took whilst I was at that were, I would say, bad losses, right? So then I'll look at all of the trades, what made them bad losses, what patterns in my behavior, in my emotions came up for this particular setup. So every single trade, of course, has my before and after screenshots. I summarize what the fundamental sentiment is, reasons for entering. I got all of these timeframes that I cover. I add all of the screenshots on there. I go through a trading plan checklist to make sure I'm just literally double checking I've got everything on point. So these are just quick yes and no's.
Hey guys, ever wonder what broker I use? Well, I use these guys, Hanko Trade. Look, it was a no-brainer for me because I was looking for a broker with really good trading conditions and one without any leverage restrictions. Look, also, by joining Hanko Trade, I was able to cut my cost of trading significantly with their super low commission of $1 per 100K. Look, if you want to find out more, check out hankotrade.com, or there is a link in the description.
This is the trading plan beforehand, and this is obviously what happened next. This is just what I go through before the trade. Now, whilst I'm trading, whilst I'm managing the trade, I have this sort of like traffic light check-in system. So this is based on psychology, and I'm looking at how I'm feeling before, during, and after, and I'll just tick as to how I'm feeling. And this is going to help me later on when I'm reviewing at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, when I'm doing this category filtering to see what patterns. This is where I'm going to find the pattern, my behavioral pattern, and this is where I'm going to find the trigger to that pattern. What triggered me to feeling great, or what triggered me to self-sabotage? This is also very important, the situational review. What happened to the trade? So this is the external reason, right? And then how did I respond to that? How did I respond to the fact that my trade, I was trading a setup, NFP was coming up, I was already in the trade, but because it was 5 minutes before, I felt a bit aggrieved. I saw it was going to go in my favor, so I decided to add more lot sizes, an extra couple of lots, in order to capitalize on that. And so it was a bad win, so I'll categorize this as a bad win above. And then what are the consequences of that? So if I do that too many times, eventually these bad wins will turn into bad losses because I'm just being greedy, right? So what are the consequences? And so the last thing I want to do is self-sabotage, right? Self-sabotage is like my enemy. This will allow me to identify all of the triggers, all of the patterns in my behavior and the triggers to that. And of course, I look at what I did good, what did I do bad, how am I coping with the bad things that I did, and the biggest lessons. So the biggest lessons that I've learned for this particular trade, just for one trade, that goes into the weekly review here, the biggest lesson. And if that lesson allows me to implement a 1% tweak, that 1% tweak then becomes a goal for the future, for the following week. So this is like literally the process that I follow. So I wanted to focus on the process of how I actually get to that chart, right? So the process, it leads me to that chart analysis, right, to find my actual entry. So the entry and the exit is literally just a small part. The big part of my trading, of my edge, is my process, is my self-awareness, and how I'm journaling that journey from finding an opportunity to be able for me to execute my edge based on that opportunity. So yeah, that's it, guys. So if anyone got any questions, you can reach me via Instagram, rodrigo.fxtrader, or you can contact me via the City Traders Imperium public Discord. I'm on there every single day. So guys, thanks for watching. Thanks, Cam, for the invitation. And yeah, hopefully this has been very insightful and educational for all the Trading Nut listeners. Take care, guys.
All right, guys, so there we go. Rodrigo's charting and his process broken down in complete and utter detail. Now, if you do want to see videos like this in the future, do remember to hit subscribe, click on the like button, click on the notifications bell, and then click all to get notified when videos like this go live in the future. See you in the next one.